And so we'll reconvene this public hearing. It's 5:35, and on the public hearing agenda for the 5:30 p.m. slot is Bill number 300-33, COR, an act to authorize individual senators to voluntarily reduce their salaries by statute, and this has been introduced by Senator N.B. Underwood. And again, I just want to state for the record that in accordance with the open government law, notices of this hearing were sent to all main media outlets, all senators and stakeholders 5 days in advance on April 26, 2016, and a second notice was sent on April 28, 2016. So I'd like to recognize Senator Underwood, who not only is a member of the Committee on Rules, but is also the sponsor of this bill, and I'd like to ask her to give an overview. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I want to really thank you for holding this public hearing and paying attention to the jurisdiction. Bill 300-33 was introduced was primarily because since I had assumed office in January 2015, I have heard hundreds of our island community members express frustration and anger over the pay raises that was authorized by the 32nd Guam legislature during the post-election session of 2014. This bill will allow for individual accountability for all elected officials, the senators that we're talking about here, essentially without passage of the legislation to lower the statutorily set salaries of senators. Those senators who elect to simply write a check to donate their salary are still liable for the original gross salary they receive. Additionally, the people of Guam and the senators are responsible for any taxes or any potential tax deductions in that scenario. We have been unsuccessful to act collectively in reducing our salaries or to repealing the pay raises, but Bill 300-33 allows us to act as individuals, individually to repeal our pay raise. So I again thank you, Chairman Respicio, for giving us the opportunity to have the bill heard.
Okay, you're very welcome, Senator Underwood. We have two individuals who signed up to testify on this bill, and I'd like to invite Ms. Gina Flores. Please come forward. And former Vice Speaker, or forever Vice Speaker, Ted Nelson. Please come forward. Okay, you're just here too. Okay, well, your presence is certainly duly noted. Okay, Ms. Flores, you're recognized. This is all I have to sign up. If there's anyone else wishing to testify in the bill, we just...
Tom, did you want to testify?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can come up.
Just... Okay, we'll start with Ms. Flores while we get the gentleman to sign in.
Good afternoon, good senators. My name is Gina Flores, and I'm here today in support of Bill 333, and I'm going to read my testimony. Okay, again, my name is Gina Flores, and I am here today to testify in favor of Bill number 300-33. I would like to thank you all for affording me this opportunity to comment on this very important legislation. Bill number 300-33, an act to authorize individual senators to voluntarily reduce their salaries by statute, provides the members of this legislature to give back to the people who gave them their jobs. While many say that a law should not be needed for elected public servants to give back to the people, but in reality there is a need for laws to make things possible if other attempts have failed more than once. I am a single parent, and trying to survive is the most overwhelming job I face today. While many of us struggle every day trying to make ends meet with the little that we make, the salary increases and retro benefits for elected public servants and politically hired employees is very saddening. My taxes pay your salaries, and no one asked me if it was all right that your salaries be increased using my taxes. We spoke up against the salary increases, but once again, our voices didn't matter when the vote to override the governor's veto failed. So Bill 333 is your last chance to show the people of Guam that you are our public servant and not the career politician as many identify senators to be. Just imagine when this legislation becomes law and how it will impact programs that continue to lack adequate funding, like the education and the hospital. It may not be millions, but it's funds that will keep programs and services open for our children. In closing, I am hoping that Bill number 300-33 will get the support it needs to bring back the trust of the people and reveal your sincerity within to serve their interest first and foremost. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Flores, for being here and for your participation. Tom Hazami? Hazama, Mr. Hazama.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Tom Azama. I'm an employee within the Guam Department of Education. I've been here on Guam since 1992. Personally, I've watched many senators come and go. I've always had belief that, I don't have familial ties on Guam, so I've always tried to believe that when the senators, when people run for office, I believe that when you say you're going to do something, I believe you're going to do it. It's hard to follow the speech that was just given because everything she said is exactly how probably many people feel but are afraid to say because of the many ties that we have here on this island. Again, like herself, when the races occurred, I was shocked, but at the same time, I wanted to believe that our leaders believe that the work they do has to be worth something. So I wanted to believe that the salaries that were being, the increases that were being put into effect was really worth it. And then, we all saw the different media giving the different explanations of, what do legislatures make in the states? How are the salaries comparable? When we think about the salaries that increased some $20,000, the governor's salary increased some $40,000, whatever the increases were, including the retroactive payments, it made the rank and file people who also received the Hay study increases, some got very little, if any, as far as the increases, and yet our leaders feel that they deserved those gigantic increases, and it felt very insulting. I know I spoke to Senator Underwood about this. I've written to Senator Respicio about this a couple times on Facebook. Senator Munya Barnes, I've just wanted to ask, as an individual citizen, when we know that there's so many problems that Guam is facing financially, how could you look at the people who say we serve the families, and yet at the same time, seems like you were serving yourselves. Granted, a lot of the incoming senators that weren't part of the decision, you fell into the situation where you got the salaries that were sort of fell into your laps. I'm just a single person who doesn't have any ties, and I'd like to see the leaders do something. Don't just say you're going to do something, but actually do something. We all saw the different attempts to try and repeal this. The override, I thought, was the first step, yet it failed. Governor vetoed it, and it failed. That failed on the veto. Pretty much, it told me that the body was more in favor of keeping pocketing the money instead of really thinking about how is that going to impact the families and the children of Guam. Because within Department of Education, there's all kinds of money that's needed. Now, granted, the DOE is not the only agency that needs money. Hospital, roads, all the different areas that need financial support. I just want to say, if this were to be enacted again, it would be voluntary, and I would like to think that the leaders would voluntarily reduce their salaries. But again, I would only ask that they use their own conscience and think, do I have to? No, you don't. But what would be in the best interest of the families and the children of Guam? And then go use your judgment, use your own prerogative to either do it or not do it. So again, whether it gets passed or not, I just hope that individually, we're missing the different senators that have voted against the repeal. But again, I don't know how they feel as far as supporting this or not supporting this, but I hope that they all take a look at their own individual. I see a lot of stuff on Facebook. People are supporting all these senators, and I wonder, how can you support people who put money in their own pockets before families of Guam? And again, I hope as leaders you can do the right thing, and that would be my blessing if we did do the right thing and did something that would be beneficial to the people of Guam. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your participation. I've met you in person, but we mostly meet on Facebook. And no matter what the issue is, we're able to have a very productive conversation and civil discourse, which results into an understanding of why things are the way they are. And I appreciate how polite you've been, despite your obvious frustrations over what has transpired over the last several years. So I want to thank both of you for attending. Before I ask the sponsor if she has any follow-up questions, just some housekeeping here. I'm in receipt of a memorandum from Senator Underwood regarding feedback for Bill 300-33. As you know, she on her own held a informational hearing, a community hearing on a bill that she previously introduced. And while the bill is similar in subject matter, it's different in the fact that this bill just affects senator salaries. I'll go ahead and accept this compilation, this report, to be included as part of this committee report for bill. What is this bill number?
300.
Oh, 300. Okay.
Or 300.
Yeah. So the feedback, I'm sorry, was for the hearing was on 243-33.
Okay.
Yeah. So the public meeting was on Bill 243-33, which sought to provide for a voluntary cut in salary for both the governor, lieutenant governor, as well as senators of the legislature. And so, Senator, you're submitting this regarding Bill 300. I'll go ahead and accept it. So all those who participated in your community hearing will not feel like their time was wasted. And so certainly this is, yeah. Okay. And then also a couple more things before I have you close. We're also in receipt of an email from Carrie Guerrero in support of the bill. And also Senator Underwood has provided us with a copy of a letter from Revenue and Taxation regarding this bill as well. So, Senator, do you have any follow-up questions?
No, I basically just wanted to make sure that we just, for the record, have, again, the attempts that had been made, and certainly when the last attempt, which was to attempt to reduce the salaries, to repeal the pay raises, was the override. And with that override, there were 9 senators who voted to override the veto, and one of them was chairperson of this committee, Senator Respicio. So I really have an appreciation. We came very close to overriding that. And the fact that for Bill 243, I really did have I didn't have a public hearing, but he certainly facilitated the opportunity for us to at least provide a hearing for the senators. So I just want to once again thank you, and thank you very much for accepting the testimony that had been provided by those who had come to testify in Bill 243-33. So with that, I don't have any further questions, but just to thank both of you. Your voices too, but they're loud and clear, and they're on the record, so we really appreciate that.
Okay, so having said that, and there being no further comments, no other individuals to testify on this bill, this bill is considered publicly heard, and there's no further comments.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if the bill, this bill 300-33, if this doesn't go through, then I would be willing to have a substitute bill that would just cover me. Because here's the difference between Bill 243 and Bill 300. In Bill 243, it's clear, based on the feedback that was provided by the Department of Revenue and Tax. The question that was raised with Revenue and Tax was whether the senators, if they voluntarily reduce their pay, whether their tax liability would be based on $85,000 or would be $50,000. And so there was clarity provided by the director in that. He said the tax liability is based on what is statutorily set. And so if I just donated, right, let's say I wrote a check for $30,000 and I donated that and just gave it, then I would be statutorily liable for $85,000. But what I'm proposing is to reduce the salaries statutorily and set that for those centers who volunteer to go back to where it was, or but it's an effort to provide incentive for centers as well. So.
And in the same letter from the Director of Revenue and Taxation, he writes, subject to contemporaneous acknowledgement by the Governor of Guam that the $30,000 in reduction will be used for public purposes, the Senator will be allowed to report the $30,000 as an itemized deduction under charitable contributions subject to limitations under the section he cites. And so I guess what the Senator's trying to acknowledge maybe is that on one hand, you don't need a law to make it so that a public official writes a check to the government or to charity, and that's what some people have said since the time this bill was introduced. And so Senator Underwood was very, very honest about it, very clear about it, and addressed the concern that she just had with respect to how her income will be treated for taxable purposes. And so, and I don't have the authority as chairman on rules to reduce anyone's salary, including my own. If a senator wants to donate, then they can write a check to, and we've done it in the past. We've done it as individuals. We've done it collectively. So although the statutory, the report will be $85,000, if anyone, not only a public official, but even a private citizen donates to a government account, like the Healthy Futures Fund or something that's of community interest, and that is acknowledged by that government agency, or if it's a 501c3 and they get a receipt that you did donate, then you can claim the $30,000, essentially bringing that salary down to $55,000. So I'll work with the senator and see if she has enough comfort in the current law that allows her to write the check today, because I think that's what she wants to do, is to facilitate this donation as quickly as possible.
So it goes back again, right, to this, that the cry of the people was to reduce, to repeal the pay raise. to repeal the pay raise. So that was what you had noted. You wanted the pay raise to be repealed. And so, again, maybe it's a matter of language, but there are, and there had been opportunities that had been set. Like, for example, we have one center that had already started to donate the difference in salary to a nonprofit organization, and everyone can have that choice. But I think it just goes back again that, I post this to our constituents. Well, what if the donation just occurred? The difference here is this: you are still holding the salary that you, the $85,000 that we don't approve of. You're still holding that, even if you donate that back. You're still holding the $85,000, and that amount is what we are protesting. So in a sense, so it's like, it's maybe more of a matter of principle. And also when in the bill, what is being proposed here is that when I voluntarily reduce my pay, I would publicly say that salary I have, let's say $55,000, will be for the remainder of the year, and that's going to be set, right, of the term. But if it's left up as a voluntary to just write a check, you're still holding that, and again,
But your bill doesn't make it mandatory, though,
No.
Senator Underwood. So
No, it
the
doesn't.
scenario you described, even if this bill passes, it still does the thing that you would do.
It's a
So-
voluntary reduction or resetting of your salary.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have a set amount. You're right. So a lot of work. This is what happens with bills. You have this idea, and this is why we have the public hearing. And then after the public hearing, even in between the public, before it even gets on the floor, there's a lot of discussion. And the bill could very well, change into something very different. But that's the power of having a public hearing, for which we are grateful that we have this. We are grateful.
Thank you for being here tonight. And so this bill is deemed publicly heard, and in the course of reviewing this bill through the committee, we're going to see if we cannot already accommodate the senator's desires based on the existing statutes. So this bill is publicly heard. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, everybody. If there's nothing else, we're adjourned.